Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Southside Beat here on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcasting Network, and here on our Steelers YouTube channel. Happy Friday to everybody. It's the last day of the week. Hope everybody has had a good week. It's been a heck of a week at training camp. Greg and I have definitely had some fun. That's for sure.
That is for sure.
It's been hot. It's been humid. But we've definitely been having some fun. So nothing's happened since the last time we talked. They got the Friday Night Lights practice tonight at Latrobe Memorial, which is not at St. Vincent College. So if you are going, it is not the same place. It is at a different place, Latrobe Memorial Stadium, or Latrobe for those who pronounce it that way. So it'll be fun. But definitely wanted to hop on here for 20 or 30 minutes and try to answer some of your guys' questions. Greg, what's going on, buddy? What's going on with you?
Not much, man. I mean, it's just another Friday. I unfortunately will not be at Friday Night Lights tonight. I got to go to a wedding that my wife is in. It's also my wife's birthday today. So, I got to...
Happy birthday. Share birthdays with the wife, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, Chris, happy birthday to you as well. So
thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
So it's been a pretty busy day, last minute shopping for gifts and all of that stuff. But we gotta make things happen. With the Southside Beat.
Mess with my chair.
Here we are.
Yeah, mess with the chair. Shouldn't have done that. Yeah, it's fun stuff. Fun times. This is live YouTube, everybody. So yeah, no, that's good, man. That's fun. I hope you have a good time. I'll have things locked down from training camp, from practice tonight. So it'll be a lot of fun. So just before, really what we wanted to do today, like I said, nothing's happened since the last time we talked yesterday. Thank you guys for the birthday wishes. We wanted to at least answer some questions. There were some questions we didn't get to yesterday on yesterday's show. So I wanted to make sure that we had some time to answer some more questions for you guys. We didn't want to leave any stone unturned or anything like that. So if you got some questions, fire away, and we'll answer them here for you.
I got one to start off, Chris. We talked about it a little. We talked about it a little bit yesterday that we're both going to watch the Hall of Fame game due to the new kickoff rule and everything like that. What did you think? What were your first impressions? Everything like that.
I'm sitting at Sharky's last night watching the game, and every time there was a kickoff, it was just the biggest letdown possible. It was just almost nothing. I was just like, dude, that was like 26-yard line and 26-yard line.
Yep.
And then one guy slipped at the 21. And then I think the furthest anyone got out was like the 32. It was like, oh, this is pretty not exciting.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I don't think teams are fully letting everything out of the bag in terms of what they might be planning for it. But at the same time, at least last night in a vacuum, it was very uneventful.
Yeah, I was sitting at my desk working on the article that I was writing, and I had the game on, I got a TV right here, and I had the game on, and I'm like, really?
Yeah,
that's it. I think it's going to be more interesting though as teams come up with different ways to handle it. I mean, we saw Boswell in practice yesterday kicking the ball horizontally. And it's so I think when strategies like that kind of come out, I think it'll be a little interesting to see how teams approach it, because we know, Mike Tomlin's going to try to find some type of advantage with this. Always. But I had to ask.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a topic of conversation, and really the first conversation for me is, wow, that was really anticlimactic, pretty much.
Yeah.
It was just I remember that first kickoff, everybody that I was sitting with, we were just like, all right, here we go. Here's this kickoff here. And it was just tackled at the 26-yard line. Oh boy.
That's how it goes.
Okay.
It's preseason.
Yeah.
It's preseason.
Yeah. James here asks, hey, birthday boy, can you stream Friday Night Lights for us on YouTube? Unfortunately, I cannot do that. Not only because I have actually heard the Wi-Fi or just the internet in general there is terrible. I've never covered the Friday Night Lights practice before. 2 years ago, whenever I was here covering Steelers stuff, there was actually one time where I tagged out on Steelers, and Dale Lawley was still with us, and he covered it because I had to go cover Pirates and Orioles in Baltimore that weekend. So I didn't get to cover it, and then obviously I wasn't here last year. So, but from what I've heard, the Wi-Fi / the internet out there is not great. So not only not good enough internet, but we also are not allowed to film team periods of practice. So no, as much as I would love to be able to do that, and we would love to have the number of viewers on this YouTube channel to get to watch practice, unfortunately, no, we cannot do that. Robert asks, Chris, have you taken a golf lesson from Corey yet? No, I have not. Corey actually reached out to me the week before I moved, and would love to get down there eventually, but obviously have had a lot on my plate here lately. So, but I did get around to golfing today for the birthday. It was a lot of fun this morning. Speaking of Dale, played with Dale this morning. Dale's a good buddy, so we played. I shot 90. I'm ecstatic right now because I haven't played in 5 months, and I'm an 18 handicap. So I'm like, shoot, man, I shot my handicap. Not playing in 5 months. I'll do that any day of the week. So Corey here asks, or he says, so I got a new Fields jersey and terrible towel. Am I too excited? Fields possibly, maybe, eventually. Right now, I still think Russell Wilson is the starter. I understand he hasn't practiced fully yet, but I still don't believe that Justin Fields has done anything to make Mike Tomlin really scratch his head and be like, yeah, I think I'm going to have to rethink some things here at quarterback. I still think that Russell Wilson is still the guy, and Justin Fields is still going to be the number 2 heading into the season.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I mean, he's looked good throughout camp, but I think until Russell Wilson gets an opportunity to I think it's Russell Wilson's job to lose. Like, I think Justin Fields could go out there and play out of his mind, and Russell Wilson will still be the starter week 1. It's just a matter of if he still has it. Russell Wilson, that is, kind of coming into the regular season, I think.
The one thing that we are seeing from Russ whenever he is throwing the football is the football still comes out of his hand really nicely. And he's more consistent when it comes to his ball placement. Not saying that Justin Fields hasn't had some great ball placement during training camp, because he has had some very, very nice throws, and not just the deep balls, but on some of the intermediate corner routes, some fade passes to the end zone, to the back corner of the end zone. He's had some very nice passes. So I'm not taking anything away from that, but just the overall consistency, because every now and then from Fields, he'll still have a throw in which it's just like, whoa, okay, one got away from him. Oh, there's another one. He got away from him. And that just really doesn't happen with Russ. And, you know, I'm not necessarily saying that Russ has the better arm talent, but there's a reason why Russ is at least going to be in the conversation for the Hall of Fame by the end of his career. And right now, Justin Fields is not on that trajectory. Can be, he has the tools to be, but he still has some things to figure out. And so, and Jay Moods kind of says it here. You know, he says, I feel like Russ still has it. I hope it's Fields in the end, but Russ still has it. I think that's the way things at least start out. I do think that this is going to be a situation in which at the beginning of the season, September 8th, kickoff in Atlanta, Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback, barring injury. I don't think that there's really going to be almost anything that's going to happen based on what we've seen in a little over a week of training camp, even with Russ being limited, that it's just like, okay, I don't think Russ is going to be able to handle this. Like, no, I think he still has enough left in the tank to be able to start on this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think he also just brings that veteran voice in the huddle as well, and I think that's something that the Steelers are going to need this year too, and I think it's something that's obviously been valued as well, kind of coming into the season. I mean, you hear a lot of the players talking about it, kind of how the influence he has on the huddle when he's in there, and just his voice and everything. And I think that pays a lot of dividends as well, just kind of having someone like that in the huddle. But I mean, like we've said, in the future, I mean, Justin Fields has all the tools. He has the ability to throw the ball. He's fast. You can use him in a lot of different ways. Just his athleticism in general is something that kind of makes your antennas go up when you're watching him. So they both have positives, but like we've said, it's Russ's job to lose in my mind.
Yeah. Matthew asks, hey, Chris, do you think Russell Wilson will practice more today? I don't know if it'll be today, but we're one day closer to Russ practicing. I'll put it that way. I like fully practicing. I don't know if it'll be today or tomorrow or Sunday, or if they are really waiting until like right before the first preseason game, or even I don't even know how many reps he'll even get in the preseason. It really is hard to tell right now, but I don't think we're at a stage in which we are concerned about Russ not being ready for the start of the season. Again, this is a veteran quarterback. It's not like Arthur Smith is reinventing the wheel on offense, and it's a very overly complicated system. I think that this is something that he's going to be able to pick up on, that he's still putting a lot of work in that's not being seen during practice, and I think he'll be okay. So I don't know if it'll be tonight. Maybe, perhaps, but no guarantees. Black and Yellow Texas Steel says, if we don't make the playoffs, are we looking at Mike T or the fact that it's a new quarterback? I think, if they don't make the playoffs, I think there's probably a number of different reasons why. I don't think it's just one or two different reasons. It's probably a number of factors. This looks like a really good roster. Yeah. It looks like the quarterback position is going to be better. It looks like the defense is going to be better. However, it's also a really, really tough division. It's also a really, really tough schedule, especially in the second half. They could go 10-7 and not make the playoffs. And 10-7 with their schedule, I think would be a very, you'd feel pretty good about that and just kind of hope that the chips fall in your direction. But I think it's going to be a number of different factors if they don't make the playoffs. I don't think it'll just be one or two different factors. I think it'll be a number of things playing into the reason why.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they have a good shot. I mean, but like you said, I think there's still a lot of question marks. I mean, I think the wide receiver room is one of them. Obviously, injuries have played a role in the past and everything like that. And there's so many things that can happen over the course of a season. And we're not even, into preseason game one. There's still a lot of questions to answer. There's still a lot of things that could take place. So yeah, I mean, I think it could be a number of different things outside of the coaching or who's under center at quarterback.
Yeah. Mark asks, has anyone emerged for the number 3 running back job yet? I would think that Cordarrelle Patterson's still in line for that. I know he hasn't practiced yet, but I would still think Cordarrelle Patterson is in line for that. When you're talking about the other running backs, the guy who's getting the most amount of reps is Jonathan Ward, who has at least played a bit in this league. But I know there's one guy that you've liked so far, and I think could possibly be a practice squad guy. I think, but I think there's one guy that you've kind of liked so far throughout camp. I don't know about number 3 running back yet, but at least a guy who at least worry about keeping somewhat on the radar a bit.
Yeah, I think Dejan, I think is how you pronounce his first name. I could be wrong there. Dejan Edwards. He's from he graduated from Georgia. He played at Georgia last year. He got hurt midway through the season, I think. He's one guy that I kind of just marked on my roster at the beginning of training camp, just keep an eye out for him. And he kind of splashed, I think yesterday, just a couple big runs, really showcased his speed. I think he returned a couple kicks or punts during the special team section of practice. He's just really quick. He's just one of those guys that kind of just when he hits his second, third gear, he kind of just pops off the field to you. So he was one guy that I liked. So far, I don't know, like you said, I don't know if it's a number 3 making the roster type of thing, but because obviously Cordarrelle Patterson is still out there, and he was on the field, or he wasn't practicing, but he was going through stretches, working through a couple little things on the sideline that I saw yesterday, and that's the second or third time I've seen him do that, so he's still working his way back. But yeah, Edwards was one guy that kind of has popped off the page to me so far through camp.
Randy asks, Chris and Greg, can you make a special appearance Southside Beat right after the Friday Night Lights? That would be great. Unfortunately, well, Greg is going to be going out of town for a wedding, so that's a no for him. And then for me, it's literally like practice ending at 9:00, and then it's like taking the bus back to St. Vincent College and whatever I'm going to write, trying to write that and it's just
there's a lot going on.
The logistics are just
Yeah.
a little bit too difficult for something like that. It's not like being in a stadium and going off to some other place to go do it, like when DK and I have done like the post game Steelers videos that we've done in the past, stuff like that. That there's usually an easy place to find in a stadium to do something like that. Doing it here, or doing it with this particular instance, especially not even being in the same spot, but even getting from the practice field down to where the media room is at St. Vincent College, that's already a hike enough. So it's just logistically, it'd just be too difficult to do something like that. So Mr. CJ Jr. asks, doesn't Russ need reps regardless of being a seasoned vet? I mean, he'll get his reps. I don't think that and if anything, I do think that this might be part of Mike Tomlin's rationale here. It might be more beneficial for Justin Fields to get more reps right now than Russell Wilson. Just because, again, Russ, there isn't any defense that he hasn't seen so far. And a lot of learning the system and learning the offense is done in the classroom. Now, you need to put it to practice on the field, of course. There's no doubt about that. But it is also August 2nd. And the first game is not until September 8th. There's still plenty of time for Russ to get enough practice reps in where he is executing the offense. He's still an active participant in walkthroughs, even if he's not taking all of the reps. He's watching, and that the walkthroughs are really, I understand that they're not going full board and everything like that, but that is where they are literally mapping out each individual concept. So I do think that there's really nothing to be concerned about there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's fine. I think he's one of those guys that can kind of, come in. And it's not like he's not doing anything, like you said. I mean, he's still participating in the things where he needs to understand the offense. And he's still, post-practice, I've seen him pretty much after every practice at least have Pratt Fryermuth before Roman Wilson got hurt. He was throwing to Roman Wilson. He was throwing to George Pickens the other day. I think Van Jefferson has been on it in this week. And these are post-practice, like extra time, kind of getting extra snaps in. They're having small conversations off to the side about timing and where the players like the ball, stuff like that. Just still working on different things. I saw during practice yesterday, I saw him pull George Pickens to the side and kind of talk about a couple things as well. They were talking to 2 or 3 minutes, just mapping something out to make sure they were on the same page. So it's not like he's getting those mental reps still. So I think once he's back to fully healthy, I think he'll be able to just step in and be fine.
Yeah. Joey here asks, Chris, what have you thought of Van Jefferson so far? I thought he was an underrated signing. I even said this to both Greg and DK during yesterday's practice. I think he's a solid number 3 right now with the way he's looking. Not a great number 3, but a solid number 3, and especially because if he can put up similar numbers to what he did with the Rams a few years ago when they won the Super Bowl. Yeah, you will absolutely take that from your number 3 receiver.
Yeah.
And so to me, he looks like a solid 3. If he's your number 2, I don't like that with the way he's looked. He does not look like a number 2 receiver, in my opinion. I like some of the routes he's ran. I love the work ethic, the fact that he's on the jugs machine for quite a while after practice.
300 passes, 300 balls a day.
Yeah. So he is doing quite a bit when it comes to working and showing some good stuff, but not enough for me to be like, you know what, they don't need to worry about Mr. Outside higher receiver anymore. I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So what I've seen from, I've liked what I've seen from him so far, but it's more or less kind of what I thought we were going to get from him. In Los Angeles, he was a pretty big deep threat for Matthew Stafford. I think, he had over 800 yards receiving that year. They won the Super Bowl. And of those 800 yards, I think like 550 was the ball traveling through the air. And we've seen a lot of that in practice so far and throughout the first couple practices. So I think that's what he can provide for the offense. I haven't seen enough of him going over the middle or kind of expanding his route tree enough to be like, yeah, he could be the number 2 guy. Like he's been kind of limited. So I don't want to say limited, but he's shown off his speed and his ability to stretch defenses down the field, which would be solid for a number 3 guy. But I just haven't seen enough to be like, yeah, he could be number 2.
Yeah. Lifted Ones asks, are we setting too high expectations on Payton Wilson? It depends on what your expectations are so far. If your expectation is for him to be a starter in week 1, then yes, your expectations are too high. The only thing that I can say about Payton Wilson thus far, to properly contextualize it, knowing that we are 7 practices into training camp and we're still a week away from the first preseason game, is that he's just, I can put it 2 different ways. Number 1, the easiest way, he's been the most impressive rookie thus far. And then number 2, it's just he's making a lot of things look easy. His athleticism and his speed allows him the ability to read and react. He doesn't necessarily have to read and react as quickly as a Patrick Queen does, because Patrick Queen is everywhere. But one of the reasons why he's everywhere is because he knows how to read and react. Payton Wilson's still learning that aspect of it, and it's going to take some time. But his athleticism and his speed help make up for some of those inefficiencies right now, or I should say deficiencies right now. So I think it's very promising to start off. I don't know if we just want to go ahead and automatically say that he's going to become Defensive Rookie of the Year or anything along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's kind of been limited to, we thought that he was going to be a special player as a rookie. I mean, I think out of the draft, everyone was like, that's a great 3rd round pick based on what he did in college and everything like that. And just from what we've seen in practice and what I've heard from veterans and things of that nature, throughout the first couple of practices, is that he's special in the way he prepares and the way he handles himself on the field and all of that stuff. So I'm not saying he's going to go out and be, like you said, the Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm not sure where he will stand as far as that goes. But, I think he could be a big contributor to this defense as the season carries on. And I don't necessarily think that's, too high of an expectation for someone of his stature and the way he prepares and things of that nature. But he's looked really, really good in practice. I mean, his motor is unmatched. He's all over the place. His work ethic is there as well. His ability to learn and his interest in learning and picking the brains of the veterans and everything like that. I think he could be special.
For sure. Robert asks a good question here. Is the Southside beat going live after the games during the season? Unfortunately, I don't have a definitive answer for you. Obviously, in the past, at least whenever I was on the beat previously, DK and I would do, I think for the majority of Steelers games, we did a post-game video where we talked about the game. We talked about what we saw and heard in the locker room, reactions to the game, what we thought of the game, so on and so forth, usually 10, 15 minutes. That was not live, but we at least did those videos. Now, I do know that at the end of the wild card loss to Buffalo last year, that DK and Corey, who was with him at the time, they did a post-game live video. We have not laid out a plan for what we're going to be doing post-game just yet. I don't know if we do a live video, first off, if we do a video, number 1, if it'll be live. And then number 2, if it is live, is it the Southside beat or is it just DK
Post-game.
and myself, or is it DK, Chris, and Greg, or whatever it is? I don't know. We like I said, it's August 2nd, September 8th. The first 2 games being on the road will be a little bit that'll be a little bit tough because it's not a stadium. Those aren't stadiums we obviously know as well as Acrisure Stadium. We know where to go for that. So we'll see what we can possibly do, what we can pull off. So I can't make any promises. It'd be great, but I can't make any promises. A couple more here, and just wanted to kind of bring this, Black and Yellow Texas Steel said, Jefferson equals Robinson. I'm assuming that means Allen Robinson from last year. I disagree a little bit in terms of, I think Van Jefferson is a more capable more capable pass catcher, or at least more capable to produce yards, to be just productive. I don't think Allen Robinson was there. I don't think he was a good enough route runner, a good enough pass catcher, even out of the slot. Van Jefferson is he's got more tools. He's got more tools in the toolbox right now than I think Allen Robinson had. The one thing I would give Allen Robinson over Van Jefferson is his blocking ability and his willingness to stick his nose in the C gap and take on an off-ball linebacker. You don't find a lot of receivers who are willing to do that. And Allen Robinson was willing to do that. Maybe Van Jefferson is, I don't know, but I haven't seen it yet. And so I can't just automatically assume he's going to do that, because again, I think if you were to pull all of the receivers in the league and ask, hey, are you willing to go through the C gap and take on a linebacker or possibly even a defensive end, you're probably not going to find a lot of receivers who are willing to do that. And the fact that Allen Robinson was willing to, and pretty capable of doing it as well, that helped matters in the running game. But I think Van Jefferson and Allen Robinson are different in certain ways. So, but and to your point, Black and Yellow, he says Robinson would get on the field and teams new run. Yes, stuff like that is what Arthur Smith is trying to avoid, is the telegraphing of plays. When Miles Boykin was getting on the field, you knew that probably 80 to 90% of the time that the Steelers were going to be running the football, because Miles Boykin was targeted probably 7 times last year. And so we knew that he's not out there to catch passes. He's out there to block. Really, a couple more questions, and we'll wrap this up here, because I know you need to run, Greg, and we just got to wrap it up anyway. Vibing with the Dogs says, or asks, who is the more likely to get extended, Russ or Justin, or both? I would just say to be determined.
Yeah,
that's the best way I can say it.
I think it depends a lot on what happens throughout the course of the season. Like, if you were to put a gun to my head right now, I would if you were to put a gun to my head right now, I would say Justin, just because of the age factor, the athleticism. Russ towards the end of his career, everything like that. Russ is probably also looking for a bigger number than what Justin is. But in terms of just like, I would go specifically off. Justin is younger. He's got a future ahead of him. The athleticism is there. The offense might be able to do a little bit more with him. And Russ is towards the end of his career, and his number is probably going to be higher than Justin's. That is all being. I think it depends a lot on what happens over the course of this season. Russ could come out and have a MVP type season, and he might, force Omar's hand. You never know. But gun to my head, Justin. For sure.
I would. For me, I'm just gonna say to be determined. I really cannot put it on, because again, if Russ goes out there, let's just play the ultimate hypothetical here. Yeah. If Russ goes out there and helps this team win a Super Bowl, or at least get to a Super Bowl, are you just see you later? Thanks, appreciate it.
Exactly.
We'll let you walk in free agency. No big deal. Like. I don't know. I just, I would say now, do I think that's going to happen? No. But do I think that this team, if Russ is playing to what he's probably capable of as a 35-year-old, and this defense looks really good, looks as good as advertised on paper, and this team can run the football, and if they do get number 2 receiver, whoever it is, or, if they get somebody and that makes Pickens number 2 receiver, either way, maybe they make it to a divisional round. Maybe they make it possibly to the conference championship. I don't know. I'm not ready to go there yet, but man, if something like that happens and Russ is the main conductor of that engine that leads them to the divisional round or a conference championship or even the Super Bowl, I have a hard time just believing that the Steelers are just going to walk away and just be like, we'll thanks. It was a fun year. We'll see you later.
I
don't know. I would say probably Justin too, but there's just a small part of me that if Russ figures things out and he's a better quarterback in Pittsburgh than he was in Denver, who knows what happens. So,
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go and wrap things up. Appreciate you guys tuning in, asking some questions. Wanted to have a nice little football Friday here. It was a good opportunity to do that since, like I said, nothing happened between now, now and the last time we had talked because of the Friday Night Lights practice tonight. Obviously that begins in about 3 hours. I'm going to be heading to St. Vincent College here in about 30 to 40 minutes to get there in plenty of time to make sure that I catch the media bus on the way over there. I don't want to be driving over there because parking is probably going to be an absolute nightmare. So, I love that people are picking up on this whole Office reference here. Catch you guys on the flippity flip. Appreciate that because, it's going to be and in case you didn't know what that's from, that is a reference to Michael Scott saying goodbye to the warehouse whenever it was Michael Scott's last episode. That was sad. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you guys dealing with us being 30 minutes later than usual. And so just have a great weekend. Enjoy. We will come back at you on Monday. It'll be an off day for the players, but Friday Night Lights is going on tonight. Practice Saturday, practice Sunday. So we'll have some stuff to talk about by the time we see each other again on Monday. So we will talk at you guys later, and we'll catch you guys on the flippity flip.
See you later, guys.